Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate, our post-Super Bowl mortem here with plenty to discuss. My main man, Al Prezzuti, and I have plenty of opinions and hot takes for you about how it all went down for the Patriots in Super Bowl 60. A difficult loss for Patriots Nation, 29-13. While it was a demoralizing loss, I maintain it was still a great season for this team that exceeded all expectations. Not a lot of people had this team in the Super Bowl in Mike Vrabel's first year. Vrabel, the NFL Coach of the Year, guides this team all the way to the Super Bowl with a second-year quarterback. Drake May, who arguably had probably his worst game of the playoffs. Some people thought that he didn't play well in. I would argue there was some moments where he did, where he rose to the occasion. But on the whole, you look at this season, I think, as an unqualified success, because of the fact that they turned the season around. They laid a foundation, as Vrabel said, first year of their program, I think they exceeded all expectations. So hats off to the Patriots for that, for giving us a great season. It was just a tough way to end. And Al, I invite you to join in right now. I know you have your thoughts about some of the things that went wrong for the Patriots in this, and I agree with you in one instance that there are a couple of things that conspired against them, some injuries that weren't really forthcoming about. But I think that there were some missteps in some of the things that they did. And what to you, first and foremost, you stood out about that game?
Well, I think, first of all, the kudos to the team because they got further along to the Super Bowl than anybody thought. So that aside, I think what happened in that game was somewhat predictable, meaning Seattle is a really good team.
Yep. And
the Patriots are a young team, first of all, with a young quarterback who's had, forget the injury, because I guess there is some shoulder issues there, although he said there's no operation required, just rest.
Right.
But from the beginning of the playoffs right up to the Super Bowl and to the end of the Super Bowl, he was not the same guy that he was during the season. Sunday he missed more passes, wide open receivers than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem for them was what everybody talked about all season long, the offensive line. Campbell, first of all, Seattle just keyed on Campbell the whole game, and he couldn't handle it. And then you can't blame Drake May for a lot because he didn't have any time. I don't think how many times he was sacked. Seven? Seven times. And, you don't have time to set up a play. You just don't, because they're coming at you. They were coming in unblocked.
Untouched, yep.
And you don't see that often. So I think what it did was, I think Seattle had a better game plan in terms of what they wanted to do. They went back, constantly went at Campbell. Yeah. They knew that they had to rush the kid, so to speak, and they succeeded. And it wasn't a big, oh, wow, the Patriots lost. I think everybody thought that Seattle was a better team, but you never know because the Patriots had played all season long better than everybody expected. But, I'm disappointed when my team loses, but I look at it and say, kind of predictable.
And Al, to your point, you look at how it went down there, and it was all incumbent upon Drake May to take care of the ball, not to commit turnovers. You think about the injury. He admitted that he had to have an injection. Some people were saying it was a numbing injection, but literally I think it was an anti-inflammatory that quieted the inflammation that allowed maybe the range of motion to improve for him. And he said he couldn't, quote, feel the shoulder. Yeah. And some people thought that he had no feeling in the shoulder. But I think what he meant was he didn't feel the pain in the shoulder.
Well,
he didn't feel the shoulder that might have been bothering, and so that may have improved for him.
That's a difficult one.
But to your point,
though.
Al, it may have altered his the arc of his delivery.
Well, the speed.
The speed, and then
Definitely.
the other thing too is that he got sped up. And so it caused him to be ahead or behind or not on target with some of his throws underneath. And there and now I thought, okay, well, if you know that and you're the play caller, why not get the ball out of his hands quicker? Why not spread the formation and spread the offense out, create the throwing lanes underneath that you can get to your playmakers and let them create yards after catch? None of that happened now, except until it got late in the game.
If you looked at the way the game was, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I mean, the whole time.
Yeah.
At the start, though, in the first couple of, Ramondre should have been used a lot more as a quick.
Yes, Al.
And and he was running fairly well.
He was at the beginning,
at the start.
Yeah.
But then, they I don't know. I think the game calling here, you have to question.
Well, the other thing too, it's on Drake May to recognize if you're second and long, they're gonna come. You gotta hunt the guy that's coming. You can't just find the mic and set the protection. You gotta go to the next step and say, okay, he's the mic. Where's the pressure gonna come? And you gotta notice that corner, that slot corner, kept creeping up. All right. If he saw him creeping up, he had to alter and slide the protection to that guy.
Yeah.
That way he had time to get the ball out of his hands.
But what he should have done, though, even to help Campbell a little, and we talked about this, he could have used tight ends. He also could have used Ramondre, who's an excellent blocker, and pushed him out a little on this so that he was behind him.
Chip him.
Yeah.
Chip him out and then release into the flat.
That's what
I would have done. So that he has a check down, a backdoor check down that he can throw. You already got this protection slid over to your right.
Yeah.
You come back to the left, and there's going to be space.
Well, I don't like to be a Monday quarterback, but look at this.
Yeah.
Had Ramondre come out a little here, and to help, because he's a good blocker, help Campbell. And then if the play comes in like this, he can shoot this way and May can throw a pass because the kid can catch.
Now, there were
I don't think they used him enough.
There were times, like you mentioned, he missed wide open guys. He missed Austin Hooper on that one, overthrew him badly. That could have been a big chunk yard play.
He was short on most of them.
He stepped up into the pocket and was about to deliver, but got quick with the pass and didn't see that Diggs was running free behind the coverage and never got it to him.
No, he didn't
so,
use Diggs
he was more focused on the front seven instead of the back end of the secondary, where there were opportunities to take shots. But here's the thing. Al, you're second and long, third and long, you're off schedule, and you're making desperation heaves. And then they're pinning their ears back and coming. And they're taking advantage of rookie left side. Jared Wilson got overpowered. Will Campbell got overpowered. And then there were times where their aging right tackle got overpowered and didn't help against that corner pressure.
Wow.
And so they were like under siege the entire game, and the guy who's the target of that siege, Drake May, suffered the consequences. And you feel for the kid. So now you think about what's going to be in store for this team next year, when their schedule is going to be exponentially more difficult. They're going to have a tougher schedule, and it's going to be more difficult to get back to that setting. But the thing that gives me some confidence and some hope is the way the defense played out. Al, the guy who stood out to me on both sides of the ball was Christian Gonzalez.
Oh, wow.
If the Patriots had won, he might have been the MVP. I think he might have been the MVP of the game,
Well, he was the only one that was making key plays.
Al, he made 3 pass breakups that would have gone for touchdowns if he hadn't been there.
Look at their field. The other thing that really killed them was field position.
Absolutely.
They never even got beyond the 40-yard line.
Yeah.
I mean, until the third. I mean, it was
until the fourth quarter. I think.
It was very difficult to watch because what you were watching really was a team. Seattle was well coached. They knew what they had to do, and they did it.
Yeah.
And we talked about. I mean, I know you like Donald. I'm not a Donald fan, but he won.
Well, Al, as I said to you, during the course of the season, I kept checking what was going on in the NFC because I wanted to see if there was a team that was separating themselves, the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. There was San Francisco, there was San Francisco, I thought might make a move. Then they had injuries, and then they fell back. The Rams were always there. They had a great quarterback. They were, fighting through some things, but they came in. The Chicago Bears were making some noise, over in the NFC North.
Seattle was,
but
clearly.
Seattle was there all
Well, they had
year
everything.
long out.
They had good
and
defense,
and then the
good
more I looked at
offense.
them, the more they scared me as a team that could go all the way. And so when it came down to Seattle and the Rams in the NFC Championship, I was rooting for the Rams because I thought that was a better matchup for the Patriots.
Well,
And they had what a great storyline that would have made for the MVP, the winner, Stafford to go against the MVP runner-up in Drake May for them to be in a duel. But instead it was Darnold, the guy who everyone was rooting for. Everybody was rooting for him, Al. You know why? Because of his journey to that point. The resilience he showed, how people had written him off, and time and again, he believed in himself. And he clung to that belief to get his team to the Super Bowl.
well, I don't know if he got
And
them
you know
there.
what?
They're a good team.
Al,
The running back was the star of
I
the
think
game.
he changed the narrative of his, or the arc of his narrative. He changed that forevermore. And I think people will look differently now upon Sam Darnold. I don't know that he changed your mind.
No,
You still think
I mean,
that
I
he's
think
got
he, I
some
think
chinks in his
he
armor?
had a good game.
Okay.
He's not a great quarterback by any stretch of it. He's played for 5 different teams.
Yeah.
Okay. They won that game because their defense, for one,
Right.
the running back was outstanding. They couldn't stop him. The kid gained, I forget how many yards, but they couldn't
Kenneth
stop him.
Walker was unbelievable.
He
Yeah.
sweeps right and goes by guys.
Well, he had great patience.
And then I think the Patriots, I think they were overmatched. Let me put it that way. Campbell killed them on the offense, but the offensive line in the whole.
So Al, looking forward now. You're the Patriots now. You're looking at the draft board. Does that game make you rethink? All right, what are our needs? Do we have to go back and draft a new tackle, a guy? Because I'll tell you what, Al, and as we discussed earlier, when they drafted Will Campbell, I liked his demeanor. I liked his his intensity. What I questioned was whether he fit the prototype of a left tackle. And, people made all sorts of comments about the length of his arms and whatnot. That's neither here nor there. To me, it was a footwork, Al. To me, it was always the footwork. To be a left tackle in this league, you have to have superb footwork. You have to be able to slide and protect and get outside. And oftentimes it looks like this kid was on roller skates.
Well, I think
That was a function of going up against premier pass rushers in this league.
I think Vrabel said it best, though. He's 22 years old, and he needs to get stronger. If he doesn't do that,
And he knows that.
I think the experience is one thing that'll come.
Right.
If he doesn't get stronger, and he might not, because you can't just say you're going to get stronger because you get bigger and you lift weights.
Yeah.
What you got to be able to do is build up so that you can protect.
Correct.
That's his job.
Correct.
And I think they have a foundation. I
I do
listened
too.
to what Vrabel said.
But Al,
don't-
here's a problem.
Very
You
difficult
got to
to
let
get to the
this guy
Super
try to
Bowl.
play left tackle, with a year of conditioning, a year of technique work, a year of
Yeah,
improvement in his
more
footwork.
technique for him than anything.
Yes, Al. Absolute Al. Bingo. To me, it was all technique for him.
Yeah, strength.
And he needed more work in his technique.
Yeah.
And how to handle edge rushers, how to anticipate their first move, how to blunt it. And yes, strength comes in when you got to use your shock and awe power to stop them. Your punch has to stop their rush to, prevent them from going through
Well,
you.
his problem is when he hits initially, they just
To
then
drive
get
him
around
back.
him.
They would drive him back.
And that's a problem for him.
And he
So-
would collapse the pocket. And then May steps into the pocket and it's already collapsing around him. And so he can't deliver the ball. He can't step into any passes.
I think the other thing, though, that people are talking about is people forget that they're a young team. Okay.
Yeah.
They exceeded everybody's expectation, and they might not get back to the Super Bowl for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to look and say, well, all they need is this and that, and they'll be back in
No.
the Super. To get to the Super Bowl, it's like what Vrabel said yesterday. He said, it's not easy to get there. He said, and what these guys have learned is that, we have to continue to get better.
Right.
And so the foundation is there. I think we all saw that. But, if they win 12 games next year or 11-6 or whatever it is, that's not a bad season either.
Nope.
So,
Yep. And so, it was a great season, Al. A lot of questions were raised at the end, and a lot of solutions to be divined and figured out here.
Well, the other thing that the Patriots got to worry about here is Diggs going to come back.
Correct.
Gonzalez says
he's up for a contract.
He's up for a contract. He'd
He
like to
he
stay.
wants to come back.
He says.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff is out there. The Patriots have historically been a team that says, that's a lot of money for this guy. I mean, they did it with
Pay it.
with Ty Law.
Pay it.
Yeah. Well,
Pay
we'll
it.
see. And I think
It's going to be worth the money.
I think
you don't want to see
Kraft
that.
has
You don't want to have
learned
to be
his
playing
lesson
against that guy, in your division or anywhere else. But pay the money. Pay the man his money.
They
is what I would say.
need a Stephon Diggs because I think the players. He was a leader for this team.
In the culture room, yeah. I think I would bring him back. I think the biggest retooling has to be done on the offensive line. You have to think about bringing back Morgan Moses. You have to think about Jared Wilson if he becomes a depth piece. Do you slide Will Campbell over to left guard and go out and buy a left tackle?
Well, that could
Go
be.
out and buy a left tackle. Or you go out and draft somebody. I tell you who had a great offensive line. Miami and Indiana had unbelievable offensive lines.
Well, what they might do
game.
with Campbell is situationally move him. In other words, depending on the team that they're playing, like if they play Seattle, they might have been better off.
But that's difficult, Al, to do that to a kid week
it
to
is.
week. You got to make him either your left tackle or your left guard. So right now they're committed to him as a left tackle. Okay, if you're committed to him as a left tackle, develop him.
Yeah,
Work
but
with him.
if you get,
Get him bigger, stronger, faster, more proficient in his technique.
well, that's what they want
and
to
try
do.
and help him succeed.
That's what they
And
want.
you know what? I think they're going to go that route because they don't want to give up on him. And it's the same thing that was applicable with Ramondre Stevenson at the beginning of the year when he was fumbling and he was having a little bit of a crisis in confidence. And the thing that helped him was to hear Vrabel said, he's our guy.
Yeah, well,
we're sticking with him.
he does
he's
that
gonna
with
help us.
everybody.
He's a good player.
Let me put it this way.
But that's his greatest, I think, attribute.
Yeah, Ramondre had only 2 bad games. Drake May has fumbled the ball more than anybody for 5 or 6 or 7 games at the end of the season.
And to start the season, too, Al.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But-
look at, I think what happens though, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, the hype that you get from the Boston press is unrealistic. Instead of just,
Well,
showing
there are some critiques, too. There are people critiquing.
Very little, very little.
yeah.
This kid was in the Hall of Fame before the half of the way through the season, for crying out loud.
No.
Not anyways.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna interestingly watch what they do with the draft, and we gotta enjoy the Olympics, Al. With the time we have left, let's discuss some of that too. I know that the Bruins now are in a hiatus. They send a whole bunch of their players now to the Olympics.
See,
I think
Pasta
9.
was the guy who
The
brought
flag
in
bearer of
for
Czechia,
the Czech.
and he was so proud. I saw the happiness in his face. I mean, was priceless.
He's unbelievable.
He's
anyway.
unbelievable, unbelievable. Having a great year, and I hope he. Here's the thing, Al. I just want all these guys to come back healthy. I just want all these guys to come back healthy. And particularly Charlie McAvoy, who took a tough injury. Right.
He had a helmet on.
Before, and he had.
Thank God he had a helmet
And you
on.
could see that wing. That chicken wing, I don't know how the heck the officials didn't see that. They didn't review it, and they didn't summarily discipline this guy. Did the NHL ever come down on this guy yet? No, they haven't, but they should. I mean, he should be getting a letter from the NHL disciplinary office, some kind of suspension or fine forthwith when he returns. But Al, I'm loving what I'm seeing, particularly Al, on the women's side. They're a wagon. The U.S. women are a wagon. Unbelievable. I watched them play. It's breathtaking, their efficiency on offense. They had more ozone time against Switzerland, all right, than I could believe. The puck never came out of the offensive side, and they were constantly pressuring that goalie.
Well, they're heads above everybody else right
no
now.
doubt, Al.
I'm kind of looking forward to the other side on the men's side because there's a lot more competition there
Yes.
with, the Czechs and the Canadians and the
And
of course,
Finland now.
Finland.
Finland
I
is
mean,
a team that you got to watch out for.
well, the Olympics they own.
Yeah.
Finland, Norway. I mean, those countries, because when you watch it, we don't have luge here in the United States. We don't see that.
Yeah.
In Europe, they didn't put up the luge stadium in Milan. That's there all the time.
Yeah.
People do the luge, skiing. You think about, wow, Milan, but you go up to the Dolomites, it's all, in Cortina and Livorno, it's all skiing.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the bigger stories was Lindsey Vonn, downhiller trying to make a courageous comeback from an injury that she suffered pre-Olympics, a torn ACL as it turned out to be. She made a courageous comeback.
Strained.
Well, no,
ACL.
I think it was torn. She said it was torn.
Well, I was listening to her the other day. She said it didn't bother her at all. That wasn't the reason why.
Well, no, it wasn't. But it was an injury to her knee that forced her to kind of spend time doing that, rehabbing. Called into question whether she'd be able to run. She came back to Italy and showed up, made some very encouraging practice runs, and then in her first attempt at a downhill, clipped a gate and it sent her tumbling down. She broke a leg. It was awful, awful, awful. Had to be airlifted, and then she had surgery that day. And of course now, it looked like it's career ending for her, but didn't end the way she wanted it to. And it was sad. I thought it was just so sad. But a lot of uplifting stories, Al. One of the things that I was like was heartwarming to me, and I think you can appreciate this too, was to see Francesca Lollobrigida, right?
Lollobrigida, yeah. That's just a granddaughter or niece of Gina Lollobrigida.
Aunt, she's an aunt, great aunt.
Was it an aunt? Yeah.
Yeah, but how she had her son there, and so
cute little kid.
Mamma mia! She wins the first Italian gold in speed skating in her home country, and how she was
36.
just elevated. She
37
was
or something.
unbelievable, Al. Great shape, and that was one of the great stories early on. The other to me was in the upset in the men's figure skating, the short program with the Japanese skater upsetting Ilya Malinin, the American, the quad god. I love to see that stuff. And then Team USA coming back to win, I think, the gold there. But there's a lot still to be decided. And then I love watching the luge, the bobsled. I love watching that. And then I love the Super G out. I want to see some more of that. And then of course curling. How you can explain to us what's the fascination with curling, having done it yourself?
I think unfortunately they don't tell you enough when you're watching a sport like curling in the United States.
Yeah.
Because although there is a lot of curling that's done in the United States,
it seems to be pretty nuanced.
People don't understand what they're doing. So somebody should be explaining what he's trying to do here by sweeping is to actually temper the ice so that the disc slides where they want it to. Because
Correct.
what they're trying to do is knock
steer it.
something out or put something on the line in the middle. And they need to explain it more.
Yeah.
Because you watch it, and the other day I was watching it, and my wife goes, "The most boring thing I've ever seen." I said, but it's not. If you know what's going on.
It's kind of like watching darts.
Well, to watch the United States and Italy. Italy was the champion going into that, and the United States beat them because
They faced Great Britain for the gold.
Yeah.
And came up in the silver, But Al, to me, when they call it the house, is that the outer blue circle? Anything inside of that, or is it the inner circle?
It's the inner. But when you watch I think it's interesting to watch, but it's difficult if you don't understand completely, and they make the mistake of not telling people, especially Americans,
Yeah.
what's going on.
So if you, I thought I started to pick up on some of the strategery, and there was one team, I think it was might have been Finland or someone, and they landed 3 of their stones diagonally across, spread out in the house. So they had 3. They had 3 in the house, and the other team only had 2, and they had to knock one out.
Yeah, but you see, this is what's important with when you watch them, and the person that's behind goes left, right, no, straight. You got it. Stay, stay. What they're looking at is almost like watching a pool, pocket pool or billiards match. Is if they hit it on this side, it's going to drive that plate over here and knock this one out.
Correct.
If they hit it on this side, it goes. If it goes straight that way. Now, if you got 3 lined up and you need to get them out, you notice that they don't even sweep. They throw it down there,
just let
and
it
it
roll.
comes down, boom, as long as it's on the straight
But
line.
this one was what they were 3 spread out horizontally.
But that's strategy.
Yes.
The one before it is the one that says, okay, we've got one here, we got one there, place one in the middle. How are they going to knock it out? They can only knock one out.
So if you have the hammer and you claim the hammer when you're throwing, that means it doubles in points.
Yeah.
So then if you have 3 lined up across inside the house and you land another one in there.
Well, you're only going to get one of them out. I mean, let's say if I'm the opponent here and you've got your 3, one here, one here, one there, you can't knock 2 of them out. One of them is going to stay there, but you want to knock
it'll
yours.
leave you 2 though. So
Yeah,
does that
it'll
mean you
leave
get
you
4?
2. Yeah.
Does that make it 4 if you get the hammer?
But you want to get yours back in. That depends on where you are in the match. If it's toward the end and it's your last one, you're in trouble. If you've got a couple of more throws, it's.
Yeah.
I've done it.
I defer to you as a quasi cognoscenti.
Oh, well, only because I've done it. I mean, I did that, and it's kind of interesting.
I covered it, and I'll tell you what, those guys they did a World Curling Championship up in Lowell a couple of years.
Yeah.
And those guys are crazy. They're fun to party with. I mean, they're like, at the end, I remember going to interview the guys from like Belgium, I think. And they're like, hey, come with us. We're going to go have beers over at this thing. Come with us. They're inviting me to go with them to have beers. I said, I can't. I got to go work now, you know.
Well,
But
the other
too funny.
thing, I think, just quickly, was Scotty Scheffler shoots a 74 the first day. Nobody thought he was going to. He almost won the tournament. He had shot at 64 at the end.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's good to see them back. I played that golf course
So
incidentally.
Pebbles coming up, right? That's going to be
I would
on the
think so.
horizon.
I would think.
Daytona 500 is Sunday. Unbelievable.
A
That's
lot of
here.
stuff.
Oh my God, Al. And then it'll be March Madness. Well, we want to thank you for joining us here on Stepping Up to the Plate. We'll look forward to seeing you here next time. All right, everyone. Have a great one. Take care.